Welcome to St Albans South signal box. But I'm going to show you a little bit of what we've got in the garden. For those of you who have never been here before, perhaps we'll whet your appetite to come when we are open. For those of you who've been many times before, this will just show you and remind you of what we've got. So the signal box, which is to my left, which was built in 1892, went out of use in 1979, and when it went, all the semaphore signals that were in use before that then disappeared, and we went to 4-aspect electronic signalling. And here in front of you now you see a whole array of 4-aspect lighting. These would normally go through the sequence green, red, single yellow, double yellow, back to green. Sadly, we are taking the opportunity at the moment to refurb these, and so they're not working. But these are 1950s 4-aspect signalling. On your right, if you pan across, you will see we have the more modern LED lighting. These are the very latest that are going in at the moment along this line. So these replaced the 4-aspect, and the 4-aspect replaced the semaphore signals. Prior to closure of this signal box, it operated semaphore signals, and you see in front of you now 3 semaphores. The one closest to you is a Midland Railway, about 1914. It has a wooden post and a pressed steel arm. In the distance, further away from you, is a yellow post with a red arm with a white dot. That's about 1870, 1880. So that's what the signals looked like here in St Albans when the railway first came through. To the left of that is a semaphore distance signal. British Railways, probably 1950s, 1960s, and we will see later that we can operate that from a ground frame. These sort of signals would have been operated from the box, but here in the signal box we are operating them from a ground frame. And here on my left is a London North Western region ground frame, said to come from Abbey Station. We don't know how true that is, but we think it's from Abbey Station. It's a stirrup type, so we push down and then pull. So push down and pull, and that operates the signal. To get the signal to back into the danger position, just the reverse. The other lever here operates a very small signal, a little ground frame signal ahead of us, which is buried in the undergrowth at the moment. But it's a similar thing. We pull and the very small little ground signal will operate. All around the garden here we've got lots of railway artifacts. On my left at the moment is a Midland Railway milepost. Typical Midland Railway, 45 1/2. All the railways were marked at quarter-mile intervals, and this is the style that the Midland Railway used. All sorts of railway companies had all sorts of styles, but this is definitely Midland Railway. To the left of that we have a very unusual sign, a notice from the Midland Railway Company which says persons bathing in or trespassing on the banks of this reservoir will be prosecuted. Which reservoir we don't know. We think it could have been the Cromford Canal reservoir. Up above me, clearly here, is a run of telegraph wires. The railway had telegraph poles running the full length. Again, the Midland Railway had its own style, and this is a typical Midland Railway telegraph pole run, where each of the cross members are a different length as they go down. Also over here we have a 30-mile post. This is also Midland Railway. This came from the Nicky line, which is the line between Harpenden and Hemel Hempstead. We're at the north end of the garden here, and here we have a quarry wagon. It's 2-foot gauge. It was used in quarries to move sand and gravel and all sorts of things. It rocks back, as you can see. And it's running on a set of 2-foot gauge track. This track came to us from the Tallinn Railway. It's a gift from them. It's a set of points so that we can show visitors how trains move from one track to another. Sadly, we couldn't get a full-size set in because they're at least 60 foot long and we don't have the room, but this is perfect. It's connected to this frame. This is a Midland Railway ground frame from Leicester. It was in the back road, the road that ran round the back of the platforms in Leicester, and was used to control access to a small siding. It has a form of locking here at this side to force me to pull the levers in the right order. So I have to pull the green one first. Here we go. I pull that. This would normally ring a bell in the signal box and notify the signalman that I was going to use this, because normally he would not be able to see. That has now released this little mechanism here, which will allow me to pull the red lever. And once again, it's released the mechanism. I can now operate the points. The black lever operates points, the red lever operates signals. So here we go, and the points move across. The levers have to go back in that reverse order, so we have to put the black one back first, and then the red, and then the green. The white lever is normally a spare lever. Here we don't have room for spares, so this one is actually in use, and I pull that and we move the distance signal. Beyond the distance signal, we have the late Victorian wooden signal, which you can see. This one is actually operated from the signal box. Lever 32 in the box operates this. It's a prime example of what the railways would have looked like here. Nicely coloured and predominantly made of wood. This is another Midland Railway milepost. This one is designed for placement in tunnels or into areas of restricted view. So where there's no room to put the sign which protrudes. So this would have been on a flat wall as you see it here. Further to my right we have a Midland Railway boundary marker, the MR, and behind it we have a whole series of signs. Some British Railways, some the typical advertising signs that you would see along the railway. Here in the box we have a photograph taken at the turn of the century which shows these signs on the wall opposite the box. A blot on the modern landscape and a blot on the Victorian landscape. On my other side is a different boundary marker. This is a joint railway between the London and North Western and Midland Railway.
St Albans, this is St Albans. The train terminates here. All take, please, all take. This is St Albans, this is St Albans.